Bahashim Yahawashai, Bahashim Rakakudash, the water Yahweh, Koholo Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawashai, Shalaki Yahweh, for my sins as I cry, Koholo Yahweh, the water Yahweh, Koholo Yahweh, Zamar every time, Koholo Yahweh, Yada all the time, Koholo Yahweh, Taha all the time, Taha all the time, Koholo Yahweh, Barakata every time, Koholo Yahweh, Vashim Yahushai, Wada Yahweh, for your mercy as I cry, Koholo Yahweh, Vashim Yahushai. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother, Obadiah Halkanan, and I'm back off of suspension. At least it seems like it anyway. Well, I'm back, and of course, Esau Edom, the devil as he is, struck me and struck my my page and struck the channel for the Most High to do the work, and had me on suspension for, I don't know, about a week or 2 weeks or a week or so. So I am back, and want to say salutations to all the hopeful elect, as well as all the scattered Israelites that are around the world that are considered to be the speckled bird. I want to also say hearty shalom and thawada to the apostles who have been bringing this truth out for decades in and decades out, as we all know. And without that truth being brought out in accuracy, where would we be? we certainly wouldn't be where we are now. So I definitely want to give a hearty shout out and a thanks to them for their diligency, decades in and decades out of bringing the truth out, highways, byways, on the unicorn of everything and the like. They just been, bringing it out, which is what we need to do. And so today, or should I say this evening, all the like-minded brothers who are bringing the truth out and have been bringing the truth out, we want to give them a hearty shalom and barakatah and barakatham to all of them that are out there and listening and learning, as well as the akwaf who are listening and learning. And of course, you know how the brothers are in the truth. We're mainly speaking to the elect. We all know that, and that's what we need to do. Let me straighten this out for a second here. We go. This is razor. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay, had to get that straight. The camera was just a little off a little bit, but anyway. We want to start out with my prayer as a student spirit, as a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Reuben. I'm trying to expound on and bring out the prayer from the Seminole family. Some of my brothers who are of the Reubenite tribe and the Seminole family, as well as the tribe of Gad. We're going to talk today about some things I think are very important. I've been pushed to bring out in many ways, in many capacities, the venue and the understanding of the fact that we are going in to be operating in the wilderness. We're in the wilderness now, and we're going to be operating in the wilderness. And the lesson for today, this evening rather, is Yahweh, right? And I will bring you into the wilderness, which is where we are. And of course, the rest of it is, I will bring you into the wilderness. And this is Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 35. Okay, but I'm going to go through that chapter 20 as well pretty heavily today in terms of bringing this out. And just want you to look forward to that. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and I will plead with you face to face. Right? That's what Yahweh says. We'll read it again. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Now, anytime Yahweh Shem Yahushua decides to say he's going to plead with you in the wilderness or plead with you in any capacity, this is the most all-powerful Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He doesn't have to plead with anyone for anything. Of course, we know that. And that means clearly that what he's going to do is he's going to judge, and he's going to take his judgment and place it upon all of those that he is supposedly telling you he's going to plead with. And that's what you need to understand. It's not going to be about, him asking you for something nice. He's going to be telling you exactly and showing you exactly what he's going to be doing. So that's the pleading part of it. But let me first start off, because I like to get my prayer to Yahweh Shem Yahushua in repentance, because we all need to be repenting on the daily, because all of what's going on and happening very fast in front of our faces, all very prophetic. And if you're not bringing prophecy out in terms of what you're teaching and preaching at this particular time, then I'll tell you right now, you are not in this truth, and you're wasting your time. And we're going to break out some things about that and speak about that, because clearly what we have going on is anyone that is not bringing the sacred name forward and honoring that above all things, above men, above organizations, above anything that you have, family, you need to be bringing the sacred name into total fruition at this point. Stop using the derivatives that are bywords that are blasphemous and attaching them in any capacity to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You got to stop this now. You got to continue. You can't be saying Jace. You can't be saying Jesus Christ. You can't be saying Christ. You can't be saying Lord in Christ. You can't be saying Most High, blessed in Christ. This has to stop. I'm telling you, you better stop this, because Most High is telling me he's now getting ready to come down and cut on people hard. Even them, those in the truth, you're not disclaiming this. You're saying this over and over again, and you keep bringing this Jesus Christ thing out and saying this. That's not his name. It's not the sacred name. You need to be respecting completely beyond the Most High sovereignty when it comes to his name. We're going to hear about this in Ezekiel chapter 20, which is one of my favorite chapters here. And we're going to bring it out all the way down through 21. And you stay for it or you don't. But this is a good lesson. It's going to be high nutrient food. You heard me say this many times before. And this is what we're going to be dealing with. It's some real high nutrient food in terms of dealing on how to get in the wilderness. And I'm going to also break down some things that I think we need to understand that we should know about and can do. Because a lot of men in the truth, if we had to get chased to the wilderness, they wouldn't know what to do. They have no idea how to survive. They would know what to do. Now, of course, we know Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to protect you, and he's going to deliver you, and he's going to provide for you. But he expecting you to do something. You need to function and survive. Just like in Egypt, when they came out of Egypt and had to go in the wilderness, when they were hungry, the Most High presented quail. But still, he didn't pluck the feathers off the quail, okay? He didn't gut that quail. He didn't clean that bird out. He didn't put that bird in a position where you could easily cook it and eat it. The way he did it is he provided it, but you had to dress it. You had to take care of setting it up so you can eat it. And you need to understand this is some of the things that you need to know how to do, because if you get chased to the wilderness, which is highly likely, you need to know how to survive with Yahweh Shem Yahushua putting the blessings on you. And we're going to discuss some of that today. We're going to get into it. But first and foremost, we're going to get into the prayer, because I got to praise and worship the Most High. I keep telling you, praise and worship the Most High is the most important thing. And this is a prayer that my people who are Seminoles, who are tribe of Reuben, they call them Seminoles when they got colonized, conquered, right? Okay, let me get into it. Okay, I am speaking now, O Great Spirit, and explaining what I'm going to pray so that you know what I'm saying, okay? I am speaking, O now, Great Spirit, we're talking about Yahweh. All the people, Seminole tribe, all the Reubenites, thank you for our land and our water. Thank you for our land and water. And we thank you for our dogs, which watch over us at night, and our horses who carry us that day. And the reason why we thank for the horses and the dogs is because we, the Gadites and the Reubenites, we use horses a lot in terms of the way that we go and hunt and do the things that we do in order to survive in the land that the Most High gave us, right? Okay. We thank you for our food. We thank you for the good wind that blows on our backs. So we like that. That's something that we enjoy. We thank you for good thoughts that come from our hearts. That's the truth. That's the word. That's the spirit, right? Thank you, oh great spirit. Come and eat with us, right? Seminole language. His laska sanu kanumade hayena woko dalaka sanu nuko kamude yefuke kache senu mada fubaka sanu kono hanumane fuhanara sanu kuna namone fuharana manu lashaka hamakokasha Lashu hakata sanu makunate haya na wokata ka sanu mohokacho mohe efuchake kache sanu mohochaha fapuka sanu hakatu mate fanu hara sanu kamuka mate fanu hana manukasha ha bakusha. All right. Again, as we speak, they call us Native American Indians. And of course, we have a deep rooted belief in nature and also spirituality that is, both beautiful and profound. Our connection to all things has always been this way with the Most High. Living and non-living, big and small, it's inspiring us, and we honor that through the Most High. There is a quiet silence to nature to embrace, right? We enjoy the natural, authentic, and untouched way nature is, right? So that's why our prayer is what it is. And prayer is spiritual. It's communication between us and Yahweh. A two-way relationship and conversation in which we not only talk to the Most High, but we also listen to Him. Prayer is the way Yahweh is like Shalaki. Prayer to Yahweh is like a child's conversation with his father. It is natural for a child to ask his father for the things he needs, which we do. We ask Yahweh Bashin Yoshai. The scriptures tell us that we are to pray to one another, and also assures us that Yahweh hears and answers prayer. But we are also, the scriptures tell us specifically, we need to praise, worship, and pray. There's three distinctive things. Prayer is good, but you have many entities that the Most High created that pray to all kinds of false idols and stuff. They pray to Buddhas and Shiras and JC and all kinds of stuff. But praise and worship is very specific and it's very detailed. And I'm telling you, we're going to need this more than anything, especially when we go into the wilderness. If we have to go in the wilderness, you're going to need praise, worship, and prayer. Praying is going to be one thing, but you're going to need some praise, worship as well going into the wilderness. Now, just want to say a few things before I break out to some scriptures, because I got quite a few scriptures on the wilderness, and I want to make sure that I bring them out in a way that it edifies the lesson as it is. But let me say this. Okay, as a Reubenite, and one of the things that I grew up learning how to do is, and I used to do this even from my youth. When I was living in Philadelphia and operating in the projects, I used to hang out in Bartram Gardens in the park, and I used to hunt for animals. I used to also take care of animals. Have I eaten anything that I've hunted? Yeah, I have. I've caught some pheasants before. And a pheasant looks like a turkey, but it's a bird similar to a quail, but a little bit more decorative, and it has beautiful flowers. Beautiful fish-like feathers. And I've caught them before. I've hunted pheasants, and I had a dog. He used to flush them out, and then I would take one or two, and I've cooked them. They taste just like it tastes like a sweet turkey meat to me when I ate. Anyway, how I cooked it. So knowing how to hunt with a bow and arrow is important. It's a silent weapon that can be used in many ways to defend yourself, not only in that capacity, but also to provide a way that you can resourcefully feed yourself, because you can create ways to get animals without firing a shot with any kind of a gun or something like that nature, because a lot of times that brings unwanted attention to you. If you fire off a weapon, you fire off a weapon, people going to hear that, and they're going to probably gravitate to where that is, especially during the time when we have to parlay and haul and drop everything and bug out to the mountains or to the wilderness, which is, we're already in the wilderness here amongst the people, and I'll go through that, explain that as well. But if we have to literally bug out and go to the wilderness, you need to be able to know how to function, because you're going to be dealing not only with people and zombied up individuals that's all juiced up out there trying to look for food as well, but animals are going to be in the wilderness. You're going to deal with wolves. You're going to, depending on where you are, bears, depending on where you are, coyotes as well. They're just about everywhere. You're going to have raccoons. You're going to have all kinds of different animals that can, snakes, all kinds of animals that can, spiders, all kinds of things that could literally cause you harm if you don't know how to operate around them and with them. And a lot of jakes and stuff, they grow up in the city area. They don't know nothing about the wilderness. They may spend a little bit of time in the park grilling and cooking out, but they haven't come across anything where they really have to deal with things. And especially if you have to bug out with family and take care of other members of your family and organization, you're going to come to find out that it's a big task to try to take care of people in a wilderness setting. When you're in that type of environment, you're going to find it extremely problematic if you don't know what to do and how to do it. So you're going to have to look at that as a situation that's that's very important for you to understand how to function when it comes to. Should I just want to make sure I'm on point here. And so what I'm saying to you is, you're going to have to learn how to operate in the wilderness. And when you're operating in the wilderness, you're going to have to know what you should and what you shouldn't do. Okay, like for instance, all right, let's talk about if you have to at some point build some kind of a fire to keep yourself warm, as well as to cook food, as well as to do various things that you need to fashion. Like you sometimes when you fashion a weapon or sharpen a stave or a pole or a stick, when you cut it, a point in it, you want to burn or cook the end of it in terms of where you shaved it into a type of pointed tool that you can use. Why? Because it makes it cauterizes the stick at the point so that it can be more durable, and if you hit something with it, you won't break it or you won't bend it or destroy the point on the end of it. And that's why you have to burn it in that fashion. Okay, you have to learn when you go into the wilderness what areas you can camp and what areas you cannot camp. Okay, preferably if you're going to find camp, you want to try to find a water source that is no more than probably a quarter of a mile or less away from where your camp is, and you have to service the camp area and survey the camp area that you're going to be in. I would suggest that you do at least 80 to 100-foot radius around your camp area that you plan to camp. Now, I would suggest that you camp in around a group of trees that you can use as a form of presenting hammocks. Now, you can go get a hammock and try to get yourself a hammock that has what's called the mosquito netting to the hammock, okay? And get a hammock that's going to at least be able to support 500 pounds or more. Okay, you may not weigh that much, but the reason why you need something of that nature is because of the fact that when you put it on the tree and connect it to the adjacent trees in order to have a place to sleep, you're going to have to make sure that that hammock is above ground. And see, if you have trees that are associated with where you are located, like for instance, if you have, look for a set of 4 trees that are similar in proximity or very close, so you can set your hammock up. Now, you'll have 2 trees on this side, 2 trees on this side, and some space in the middle of approximately about 8 feet or more. When you see that, what you'll do is you're going to have a way to shimmy up one side of the tree within the 4, and you'll set one portion of the hammock. Now you're going to set your hammock up, as I said before, you want it to be up at least 8 to 9 feet off the ground, preferably 10 feet if you can handle it. Hopefully you're not afraid of heights, so you'll be able to do something in this nature. So what happens is you'll shimmy up the tree. Okay, now you can buy what's called tree spikes. They don't cost very much. It's like the kind that you see lumberjacks and loggers use when they climb up the trees, and they put them on the side of their shoes, and they can kind of clip right into the side of the tree as they go up. Okay, now you go up. Now, the reason why you want your hammock up around 8 feet or more is because you don't want your hammock near the ground, because at night animals roam, okay, and they smell food, they smell people, and they roam around and look for campsite locations because they're used to getting food, because we are bad in terms of feeding wild animals, and so they look for food. And then they also stay close to a water source, because that's also a place where they can capture food and capture other animals. So you know what you want to make sure you do is you get your hammock up at least 8 feet to 9 feet above the ground. Now, if you have your bag with you, like for instance your bug out bag, and if it has items that you eat, food, weapons, or what have you, you want those food items to be strung up in a tree. You create like a rat line. What you do is you create a rope line about 10 feet up, okay? And then what you do is you have each one of your bags have a line tied on it already, have it set up, and just coil it around the bag. And you can put a rock on it or something strong that you can throw it over the rat line and pull that food and whatever you have up to that rat line 10 feet high. This is after, of course, you've had your meal or whatever. Now, why you want your food and everything up that way is because if it's on the ground, raccoons, bears, animals will smell that food and they'll rip into your provisions, and then you won't have any food. So everything needs to be off the ground when it comes to the evening. So right around when you get close to sunset, you want to start locking down everything you're doing. You get your items up in the tree, up around the tree, close to where your campsite is. Tie them off up. Don't tie the rope down by the tree. Tie them off up near where your hammock is, so you can release them when you get ready to get out of your hammock. Now, in your hammock, you want to be able to keep, of course, whatever protection you have. If you have a bow and arrow, or you have some sort of a machete, or if you have a firearm or something, you want that to be in your hammock with you when you're up there sleeping, okay? Why? Because then if anything does happen below you, you have a way of defending and protecting yourself while you're up, okay? Now, as far as your fire is concerned, this is what I suggest how you build a fire. First thing you do before you build a so-called campfire or a fire on the ground is make sure it's not going to be in a position where it will spread and burn up everything you have. But you have to build what's called a cove dome. What's a cove dome? It's a series of rocks that you can get that you build sort of like a half of an igloo, where it makes like a dome, and then it's behind it you have rocks, and you just build it up, and then you have an opening location in the center, and you create a little pit, and you put some rocks on the bottom there, and then you build your fire in there. Why? Because see, what you don't want to do is have an open fire with that light shining out into the wilderness, because then it's easy to spot from a long distance away. Aerial from a heights looking down, as well as people looking straight at. Now, if you're doing that, make sure the fire is built to the point where it's facing you, and then the water source and wherever you're talking about is behind you. Okay, you don't want this facing out into the woods or out into the wilderness. You want it facing into the wooded area, but where your water source is behind you about a quarter of a mile or less. Okay, I don't suggest you park directly right near the water, because too much animal activity goes towards that water at night when they go to look. Deer do it, bear, all kinds of animals go to the water source in the evening as well as they do during the day. So you don't want to do that. Now, I would suggest that if you don't have a compound bow, look up what a compound bow is. They have a variety of different types of compound bow and arrows, okay, where you can get them for a relatively cheap cost, okay? And then you can buy those to actually hunt and protect yourself, because a bow is silent, as I said before, and you could take down a very big animal with some of the compound bows, and it doesn't take very much to pull them back as they do with the standard old bow and arrow setup. If you get something like a compound bow, it could be 45 pounds of PSI when you pull it back. In other words, pounds per square inch in terms of the pressure. And when you pull that back and you shoot that arrow, it's smooth and it's quiet. But when it hits an animal, it'll go through that animal sometimes, or it may take the animal right down instantly. And that way you can go and dress your animal. Now, in terms of dressing an animal, if you do have to take an animal down for food, you need to immediately take that animal to the water source and gut and clean that animal. Okay, if you don't know how to do that, you can look up how to do this. A lot of the stuff is on YouTube and online. If you go to like hunting channels, because Esau big on that kind of stuff. But we Reubenites and Gadites, we're big on that too, because we're the hunters and the warriors, and we know how to do this stuff. And my brothers will tell you this is true, and we'll tell you how you need to go and take that animal to the water source. And you need to find yourself where you find a rock area. If you can find a pretty nice sized rock. Why do you need a rock? Because the rock is going to offer you a way to place the animal on there so that you can skin the animal in an appropriate way. First you'll have to cut around the ankles, so to speak, or the paw areas. No paws, but the ankles. Like if you get a deer, you got to cut skin around. You got to make a circular cut around the ankles of the deer, on the front legs, the back legs, and also right around the hind area around the gut. You split those areas, and then you split the center, and then you split down the center of each one of those circular cuts you make around the ankles. This way you can peel the skin back, but you must make sure when you cut around the ankles that you get the arteries on the back side of the ankle of the animal, or the front, as far as a clean animal that you're going to eat. You see what I'm saying? Because you want to bleed that animal out. You have to get the blood out of that animal. Okay. Now, what you will be eating when you go to the wilderness that you hunt for, basically you want to hunt for deer. When you hunt for anything like a deer or an antelope, everything else is very, very unlawful for you. You can't eat no rabbits. You can't eat no bear. You can't eat no possums. You can't eat no raccoons. None of that stuff. Now, I'm not saying you can't get hungry enough to want to try it, but that's not lawful. And I don't believe that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to authorize you to do that. But you can also, like I said, you can hunt for pheasant. You can hunt for wild hens. They got wild hens that run around. They're turkeys. They're difficult to catch, but you can create snares for them too. And learn how to create a snare. You can create a snare very simple from using a tree branch, a nice flexible tree branch, and some rope, some nice good rope, or some real twine, or some string, or some wire. And what you would do is you have to create a way where the actual it's just like a limb that you bend it back, and once it's flexible, but you set it up first with the wire or the twine, and as it goes down, you make it probably no more than about, I would say 14 to 16 inches is good once you bring it down. And let me tell you why you do this. And then you make yourself a loop. Now you have to be able to know how to make a loop that will switch down and close on the ankle or the foot of an animal that you're trying to catch. And then once it snags that animal, it'll drag it up off its feet, so it'll be off balance and it'll be in that position. But you have to make it so that it's not too far from your camp area. Why? Because once the animal starts crying for help, other animals will know that it's in distress, and they'll come and take your food or take that particular prey that you have that you're going to eat. So if you hook a pheasant or you hook a turkey, it's going to start making a lot of noise. So you got to be able to get to it relatively quick before another animal decides to get to it and takes that from you. Okay. And so you can't be too squeamish or afraid to have to know how to dress that animal or dress that food that you've caught. But then, so once you make that snare, and how you hold it down is very simple. You want to peg 2 sticks on the right side and the left side of the loop, and then one stick on the front, but it's not a stick that's holding the loop down. What it's doing is it has a rock that's associated on top of that, so it kind of hides that portion of the snare. And so what happens is when an animal comes and it steps into the snare to get the food that you set in the middle of this of the loop of that snare, as soon as they step in there, they're going to step across that rock, and then they will trigger what you will have underneath. There is a stick. Now this stick is going straight underneath the loop, and then it's actually right underneath the bend of the it's underneath the bend of the branch that you use to bend down that's holding the snare. Now how this works is simple. You got another line that comes right there from where the stem is of that tree branch that limb that's bent down, and that rope comes down, right? And it's attached to like a stick, all right? And that stick also has another rock on it, all right? So that's holding the limb down like this. Now the way you put that rock on that stem, on that stem that's underneath the loop, is offset to the right or to the left. And when it's offset to the right or to the left, it's easily to slip out. So what happens is when the animal steps in the loop to eat, it'll be comfortable and they'll sit there and maybe get a couple of bites. But at some point, it's going to move that stick that's underneath the loop. And when it does that, the rope or the line that's going to the tree limb or the limb that's bent over is going to flex right up real hard, and it's going to grab that animal by the leg or whatever, pick it up, and now you've caught yourself an animal that you can eat. Okay, that's a Reubenite or Gadite type snare to catch animals that you can eat. Okay, so like I said, there's a variety of different ways you can do this. There's also what we call rock snares, where we have two weights on each side. One weight's here, then you have a rock where you place a loop, you put a rock on the loop, you have a heavier rock and the string going across the rock on this side. When the animal goes on to go to eat and push that rock out the way, the heavier rock falls and the loop grabs it around the neck when it bends down to eat, and now you got that animal with a big old rock around its neck, and it can't go anywhere. So it may try to run a little bit, but it won't get anywhere at all. So these are just some of the things that I'm trying to tell you in terms of knowing what to do when you go to the wilderness. You also need to try to invest in what you call a sani straw, one of the straws that you can drink water, and it has a filtering system where you can put it down into a lake or a pond or whatever, and it'll filter out anything that is bacteria ridden or any kind of germs or any kind of parasites that could be in the water, and you could actually drink clean water with this particular type of straw. And they do sell them for camping and for wilderness and people who hike and things of that nature. You want to get these types of things. You want to buy a little kit that offers you something in it that has maybe a little axe, a little saw, various tools that you can work with, so that when you go to the wilderness, you can chop and clear brush. Get yourself a little knife that you can work with to keep on the side of your hip as you're walking through to clear out brush in areas. Okay. You want a shovel so you can, dig out a spot for you to be able to get yourself what I would say a good place for your campfire. Because when you make a campfire, you want to make sure that you can have a position where you can bury this fire after you finish to leave no signs. You always want to dig out a spot for a fire that you place. You don't want to just put the fire on top of the ground. You want to make a little cove in the ground, like an oven, where you can put your rock in there and put your kindling and your sticks and stuff on top of that. Remember, I said you still want that cove dome to be covered in the back, coming up like a half igloo, and then on the sides where the fire's in there. And even if you make it smart enough and big enough, you can put a piece of iron, a long stick of iron, maybe just something that you can stick through a chicken or a bird, and then as it's on that stick, you can turn it and cook that bird or that animal with inside that coved oven that you kind of made. These are things that you need to kind of consider when you're in the wilderness. Now, if you do run across any animals, you have to be careful in terms of how you address them. Like, for instance, a bear. You can't outrun a bear. You can't outrun a fox. You can't, or a coyote or any of those animals that are on 4 feet. That's not going to be possible. So what you do have to do is have a couple of things nearby that you can use to defend yourself, to keep the animal at a distance from you. Don't let it get close up on you where it can swipe at you with a paw or jump on you. I suggest that you make a couple of staves, a couple of long spears that are at least 8 to 10 foot long, where you can carry. I said two is what you should really have. One and two. One on the ground where you're sitting and eating and doing whatever you're doing while you're preparing your camping environment, and then one up against the tree that's adjacent to where you set up your hammock. Because you got to set that up early. You don't wait till it gets dark to try to set that up. Okay, you get that as soon as you get there, you set that stuff up. Okay. Now, the reason why I said you need two is because if an animal rushes you, like a bear or an animal, if you once they rush you and you stick that up to protect yourself, when they jump at you, they'll impale themselves on that stave or on that spear. But it still might be strong enough to still try to come near you or come after you. So once you impale that animal on that particular weapon, you retreat to the one you have leaning up against the tree. That's why you gotta be mindful of your surroundings and where you are when you're eating. Don't eat in your hammock. Don't go up and say, well, I'm gonna climb the tree and eat. No, don't do that. Eat where you are, but if you're smart, eat up against a tree. Have your back to a tree. Don't have your back open to the wooded area behind you, and you're eating, and an animal or something come up behind you while you're trying to eat. You want to have your back to a tree, so if something comes up on you, preferably by the tree where you have that other spear. If something comes up behind you, you can look to the left or right and see it approaching. Grab your weapon or whatever you need, your bow and arrow. If you can't load that fast enough, you got your spear or your machete. You can defend yourself at that point, and you can use the tree as a point of deterrent and distraction. Because if an animal tries to come at you and you jump around one side of the tree, bam, they hit the tree, they can't do anything. Bam, you're around the other side, but you can poke and stick and defend yourself while that animal's trying to get to you around the tree. Now, when it comes to people, if you start to hear someone coming or going towards your camp area or coming seemingly towards you, as soon as you hear a sound of something that's going on, the dirt that you pulled out from the campfire that you made, don't discard it. Have it right in front of the area where your fire is. Why? So you can throw that dirt on the fire and put that fire out at that particular point in time, which will create no more darkness, and also it'll knock the smoke out quickly, and you won't have to worry about them tracing the smoke down. Now, if you hear someone in the distance and they seem to be coming towards you, and you have other individuals with you that you're protected, what you need to do is get them up into their hammocks and off the ground. First things first. Then you, as the man, are to go and search out who is calling, but come from an angle. Don't go straight to the sound. Go up around and come down to the sound from an angle. Why? Because if they turn towards you, they won't go towards behind you and go towards your camp. Get them to come to the direction where you're going. Call them away from the camp. If you know it's a group or a few of them, that's the best thing to do. You trace that 60-foot, the 80-foot radius I told you about your camp, and you go off to the right or to the left, and you go all the way up and circle around and call out to who they are to get them to change direction in terms of coming towards your camp where your people and you are, to where you are in terms of waiting for them to address who it is that you're dealing with. Because you don't know, it could be friend or foe, but in most cases it's going to be foe, not friend. So once you take your bow and arrow and whatever weapons you can travel quickly and fast with, you take it to that area. And then once you see who it is that's coming in your direction, now you're in a position to defend yourself. Now, if you have a firearm, that's your last resort in terms of using that, because that's going to attract a lot of attention. And if they have firearms, they're going to be shooting back in your direction, which means you're going to have to really be skillful in not getting hit by the firearms. When they see the flash of your gun, they're going to be shooting in the direction of the flash where you're shooting. But if you're shooting a bow and arrow setup, it's quiet. They're not going to know where it comes from. You could literally take down about 4 or 5 people silently, and they won't even know where that's coming from. Okay, make sure you address getting some camo gear and some things that will camouflage you in the wilderness. Right now it's a good time to do it because hunting season is in play, and all of the gear and camo gear and stuff that's in Walmart and various places. You can buy it at a relatively cheap price, and you can get it for children as well as for women as well as for yourself. Get yourself a set that you can have. Bag up some of that, put it in your bug out bag, and make sure you have it. You can't go to the wilderness in a garment like this. Okay, you're gonna stand out, and not only will the animals get you, but there's a good chance that the people will see you, and then you ain't gonna be breaking down those scriptures at that time that I know of when you run into the wilderness in terms of what you'll be doing. Now, this is just a few ideas in reference to what you're supposed to do and what you can do if you have to bug out to the wilderness and get away from, Esau Edom when he wants to put you in camps. If he's going to put you in camps, he's going to put you in camps. If the Most High wants you there to do that part of the process and prophetic timeline, you're going to do it. Doesn't even matter. But, like I said, you can get camping tents. They got nice tents that can house very many people. They're very lightweight, easy to work with. Some of them, you can virtually carry it on your back, okay? And some of them you have wheels that you can pull like a little golf cart type situation. So there's a variety of different ways that you can provide. And you want one of those type of tents where it pops up once you take it out of the bag and it boop, boop, it's right up. You don't have to start doing a lot of work to get it up. And you have a lot of them. They cost a little money, but hey, what's going to harm to take a check one time when you come home from a bill that's maybe just a little late because everything gonna shut down anyway, and buy yourself a couple of items like the tent that you would have you and whoever else you're gonna be bugged out with in the wilderness, whether it's you and your spouse, you and your kids and your spouse, whatever, or you by yourself. And then make sure you get yourself a hammock. Your tent's on the ground for a short window of time during the day, but like I said, when you get ready to go down for the night, you got a hammock that has a netting or a closed-in portion where you can zip yourself in. Why? Because stuff falls from trees, snakes, all kinds of animals, spiders, and if you're inside of it and you have a covering, if it falls on it, it doesn't get in the hammock with you. You understand? You don't want stuff falling in the hammock with you because you'll freak out, fall out of it, and you got a freaking 8-foot drop down in your sleep that you're going down to. And if you got something in there with you as a weapon to protect yourself, like a knife or machete, you might fall on that and then you're done. So you got to make sure that you're circumspect about how you do these things. Like I said, the Gadites know about this, the Reubenites know about this, and even the Issacharites, I believe they're on point with this stuff as well. So, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, I know you guys know, but you know who the warriors are amongst the tribes. You know who the ones who practice and operate in this fashion. And you want to go ahead and respect the fact that this is what they do, and this is what we're teaching you, so that you can know if you have to go ahead and bug out into the wilderness at any given time, you'll be able to do it, and you'll do it successfully. Okay, that's my spiel on giving you the dip on being in the wilderness. If you're literally in the wilderness and you have to learn to protect yourself and fish for food, hunt for food, protect yourself, build fires and things of this nature. Get the stuff you need now, is because it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. Okay. My friend always tells me that, and that's absolutely right. Okay, you better be on point with that. Okay, let's break out some scriptures. We did enough commentary and talking to you about how you should operate in the wilderness, because as the Most High said, He's gonna take you to the wilderness, so you better be prepared for it. Anyway, all right, I'm going to break out a couple of scriptures about the wilderness, and then I'm going to read Ezekiel chapter 20, because it's talking about specifically some things that we need to understand, because we're in the wilderness right now. Okay, you may not know it, but this, where we are right now in the kingdom of this spiritual Egypt, this Rome that's been Rome 2.0, that's been stirred back up and brought back up towards this end time period in prophecy. This is the wilderness. Okay, and there's a lot of ninjas and a lot of crazy animals running around here doing all kinds of stuff, and it's going to get a whole lot worse before Yahweh Shem Yahushai comes back. Before Yahushai is sent back, it's got to go way past the bottom. So you better get ready for the wilderness, because we're already in it, and you can see all the animals on a regular basis, and they're not in zoos and not in cages yet, but it's getting close. Okay. I'm going to start out in Numbers chapter 33 and verse 8, and it reads, And they departed from before like Pathora, all right, and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, and went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and pitched in Mara. All right, so we can see that these are a lot of locations back then, right around the time that we're dealing with um, getting ready to operate in and through the captivities, and the Most High is speaking in reference to the prophets, telling you what they were doing and what they were planning to do and how they operated. This is Exodus chapter 15:22. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shura, and they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. So you can see how the Most High had us in the wilderness, and we were operating in that fashion because we had to go through the fire, so to speak, before we got to the righteousness of His blessings of the land of milk and honey, which a lot of the older Jakes during that time, Israelites, they weren't going to make it because they just weren't prepared, and they could not be prepared because the Most High was like, look, y'all don't deserve this. Y'all whine, y'all complain, which they do right now. They whine, they complain, they cry about everything, but they don't want to serve, they don't want to praise, don't want to worship, don't want to serve the Most High. So yet still they had to die off. Samuel, 1 Samuel 23:25. Saul also and his men went to seek him, and they told David, wherefore he came down into a rock and abode in the wilderness of Moab. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Moab. Now, David was very equipped and very knowledgeable about the wilderness, because you got to remember, he was a sheep herder. He was the one who dealt with the sheep. He was out in the field. He was dealing with animals, trying to get the sheep. So David dealt with the wilderness all the time, at his back, at his front, and he was well equipped to handle things in that manner. We need to get like David. House of David need to get like David and learn how to deal with the wilderness, because we're gonna have the house of Saul and others that's gonna come against us when it's time for that to happen. So you better be prepared. Ezekiel 20:13. Here's a portion of what I was going to go into when I do Ezekiel chapter 20. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walk not in my statutes, and they despise my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. And I said, I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. Now, clearly, this is a real good precept here, because this is what we see happening on the regular right now, other than those men who are in the accurate truth that is beyond compare in terms of staying with the sacred name and following through and being diligent in that manner. And only the apostles and the men of the Lord are doing that. So others are quite bugged out in terms of how they address this. So how are they polluting these things? Okay, what are they doing? How it says here, the house of Israel against me in the wilderness, they walk not in my statutes. We see that on the regular. Okay, so there's no like-mindedness, there's no continuity together in terms of bringing the truth out, which they should be. They don't stick to the value of making sure what they do is consistent. So they don't do the statutes correctly. They despise my judgments. Do they despise judgments? Yes, they do. How is that possible? When the Most High reproves you and he chastises you in a way where he's telling you what you're doing and what you're promoting and how you're promoting him and his word and his name is not right. You're getting judgments put on you. Okay. Which if a man do, he shall even live in them. Okay. So you're supposed to live in the truth and righteousness, not in the wickedness, but you have a lot that are living in wickedness and they claim they're in righteousness, because as I said earlier, they spout off a lot of words and bring out JC and everything, and they should be talking about the anointed, the Mashiach, but they say Christ, and you can't just plaster that name on the sacredness of the Most High and the Son, and they're doing it. Okay, so you can see how they are being abominable. He said they're living in them. Now here's a real big one. And my Sabbath they greatly polluted. All right, so how do they pollute the Sabbath? Well, that's pretty clear. First of all, they don't practice it right. They don't even operate within the Sabbath as the way they should. Okay, just like we just had the new moon that came into play, and we're supposed to honor the Sabbath when that new moon comes into play. And at that particular point in time, we know that the Sabbath sets forward, and then we got 6 more days, and then on that seventh day coming forward, we got a daily Sabbath that comes up, and you're supposed to honor the Sabbath, not polluted. So how are they polluting it? By saying that the Sabbath is a Friday and a Saturday. They say Friday sundown and Saturday sundown, which is not the way we actually honor the Sabbath. That's wrong. That's incorrect. That's the way that they're getting it from their slave masters, from the Yiddish people, from those small hats. They've got that thing going in that direction. Even the Seventh Day Adventists, they do the same kind of thing. When the Sabbath was formed and it was brought into fruition by the Most High from the beginning of time, there was no days of the week that was named. There was no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. It wasn't like that. It was never that at all. As far as the phase of the moon is concerned, you will follow that, and it is a number count to the Sabbath in terms of the days that you associate it. Even in the Bible, it tells you that the Most High did his creation through Yahweh Shai on a numbered process, not a day named. So they're polluting the Sabbath by doing it wrong and continuously doing it wrong and then promoting it. You got a lot of camps out here that talk that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday sundown and Saturday sundown, which is going off. And some of them know it, but they do it anyway. And see, you got to stop doing this because you're not disclaiming the right way to do it. And so you're polluting it. All right. All right. It says here, okay, they pollute the Sabbath greatly. And and I said, I will pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. So you can see Yahweh's like, look, you're polluting my Sabbath. You're not doing the things right like you're supposed to. You dishonor me. You do not give me honor. You give honor to men. You give honor to organizations. You give honor to money. You don't honor who he is. And you're blasphemous. So you polluted Sabbath. Okay. Psalms 29:8. A voice of Yahweh shaketh the wilderness, and Yahweh shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. Okay. So, like I said, I'm going through some precepts here, so just stay with me. Isaiah chapter 64:10. Thy holy cities are a wilderness. That's so true. Zion is a wilderness, and Jerusalem is the desolation. All of our locations, in reference to who we are as a people, are a wilderness and a desolation. Now, I know this names it would be seemingly that it's naming a geographical area, but it's not. Because we are a people before we are a place at this particular time. Those places do exist, but they are polluted as well, and they are filled with the wilderness of individuals that should not be there. There are wildebeests there, human wildebeest, and they don't belong there. Zion is a wilderness. Of course it is. You can see us as we operate as the children of the Most High, as Zion, as we operate in wilderness. We operate like beasts, like brute beasts. The Lord even says that. And Jerusalem is clearly desolate. We're very desolate in terms of our situation and where we are at this time. And that's without a shadow of a doubt. You cannot preclude that that's not the case. 1 Samuel again 26:2. Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Zippa, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him to seek David in the wilderness of Zippa. See, Saul was completely going off. He was bugged out ever since he knew he was no longer going to be king, and he's trying to take out the Lord's anointed, which is David. And David didn't even try to do this to him. When he was taken down and Saul had to be dethroned, all he did was cut a small portion of his garment, and he was saddened and taken back by just doing that. And when Jonathan was Saul's son was put to death, David, when he became king, he put to death the men who put Jonathan to death, because that's unlawful for you to take an anointed one's life unless the Most High specifically says you can do that. Numbers 10:12. And the children of Israel took the journeys out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud nested in the wilderness of Paran. So they were traveling around and going through the wilderness a lot in terms of that time, because he had to kill off all the rebellious individuals that would not turn away from their idolatry and turn away from the wickedness that they were promoting amongst the rest of the tribes. So they had to be weeded out, and that's basically the nature of what happened. Okay, Numbers chapter 14:33. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. See, I was just talking about that. See, the Most High said a lot of people are not going to go into the wilderness, and they're not going to make it, mainly because of the fact that their idolatry and their blasphemous activity and their mindset just is not going to be changed. The Most High is not going to change. Just like 2/3 have to pass on this side, they're not going to make it. And so it's the same thing that happened here. The Most High already knew who he had to take out. Dathan didn't help the situation at all, because he was a demon, and he came out of Egypt trying to talk them into going back to Egypt. You can see how he is, right? Dathan the demon, right? First Samuel 23:14. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds. See, you can have a stronghold in the wilderness, right? And remained in the mountain in the wilderness of Zippah, and Saul sought him every day, but Yahweh delivered him not into his hands. See, the Most High is with you, so he can be with you in the wilderness if you have to go and run to that area, okay? But you better be praising and worshiping to find out if you're going to be able to acquire his protection. It's not just going to come from prayer. It's going to have to come from praise, worship, and prayer. Make sure I'm going to make it very clear, because he keeps pushing on me to say it. 1 Samuel 26:3. And Saul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jesmon by the way. But David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness, which he did, but he was unsuccessful. Joshua chapter 15:61. In the wilderness of Beretha, Middin, and Shashin. Okay, that's just showing you some of the areas that Joshua passed through with the children as he was going forward to take some of the land. John chapter 6:49. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. In other words, see, Most High will feed you, and he will feed you in the wilderness, but you have to participate in the process as well. He don't like cowards, and he don't like lazy people. You're going to have to participate. Proverbs 21:19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. Now, that's true to a very strong degree. And if you have that situation, you probably will be running to the wilderness. And if you have to leave someone of that nature, then that's what you'll do, if the Most High doesn't already arrange for that to be the case. But you have to understand, when you're in the wilderness, it could be good and it can be bad. But you definitely don't want no problems with anyone that you're traveling with or have to travel to acquire when you're in that wilderness, because it's just going to make the situation even more unbearable and not even possible. Okay, right. Numbers chapter 14:32. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in the wilderness. See, the Most High is telling you 2/3 of our people are not going to make it in this wilderness we're in right now. This is what's going on, and you need to be on point with prayer, worship, praise, and praise, worship, and prayer. You have to. All right. Psalms 55:7. Lo, then would I wander far off and remain in the wilderness. Selah. 1 Samuel 25:4. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. Okay. All right. Deuteronomy 11:5. And what he and what he did unto you in the wilderness until we came into this place. What did he do? Well, the Most High protected you. He took care of you. He made sure that all your provisions were covered. And what did you give him in return? More rebellion, more disheartening activity, and the blasphemous, idolatrous activity. And this is why a lot of you passed. Amos 5:25. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? See, he wasn't even satisfied with the fact that you couldn't come around, and you weren't going to come around, because he predetermined that was the case. Just like right now, he predetermined 2/3 are not going to make it. All right. Psalms 107:40. He poureth contempt upon princes, and causeth them to wander in the wilderness. where there is no way. Now, we're going to wander. We're wandering now in this wilderness that we're dealing with at this particular point in time. And he's going to pour out more. And as you can see it coming, you need to prepare. And that's why this lesson is coming to you in the way that it is at this time. Okay. A few more precepts, and then we're going to break down Ezekiel 20, and then we'll be ending this lesson, from my understanding. Deuteronomy 2, Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 26. And I sent messengers out of the wilderness of Kidmoth unto Shalom, king of Heshbon, with words of peace and saying, we won't be doing that to any of these kings that are in this area, because they're all going to be going down, but they're going to make a run at us, and they're going to make a run hard to come at us with accusations that are untrue, which they did to Yahweh Shem Shai. They'll be doing the same for us. No one will escape, and no one will not have to deal with the perils that are coming. We're all going to have to deal with that. All right. 1 Corinthians 10:5. But with many of them Yahweh was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. He did it. He does it all. He always covers it all. Matthew 15:33. And his disciples said unto him, whence should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to fill so great a multitude? So they were trusting that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and Yahushai was going to give them the knowledge, to give them information that would be able to fulfill everything that they need to understand with such a great multitude of people in the wilderness that we're operating in right now, because that bread is the truth and the life, and that's what we're looking to acquire in order to operate within this wilderness. Okay. Hosea 13:5. I did know thee in the wilderness, in the land of great drought. Okay. The Most High, of course, did know us, and we will know him in that wilderness, because he's going to take us there, and that's what this chapter is going to talk about. Numbers 1 verse 19. As Yahweh commanded Moses, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. Why did he number them? Because they were going to be numbered to the sword, a lot of them, because they went against Moses when he went to get the word. We'll hear about that in Ezekiel 20 as well. Mark 1:12. And immediately the Spirit deriveth him into the wilderness. So the Spirit will drive us into the wilderness, and we're counting on that if that is the case in our lot. And if the Spirit driveth you into the wilderness, the Spirit will be taking care of you in the wilderness as well. So you better be prepared to pick up the clues when that time comes. Luke 5:16. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. See? So you are going to have to be praying, worshiping, and praising in the wilderness. You're not going to get away with not being able to do that. Numbers 3:14. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying. So how about we look at what he was saying? Okay. So that's Numbers. That's Numbers 13. 3 verse 3 chapter 3 verse 14, right? And it said, and the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, the number of the children of Levi after the house of their fathers by the families, every male from a month old and upward shalt thou number them. And Moses numbered them according to the word of Yahweh, as he was commanded. And these were the sons of Levi by their names. Okay. And then, of course, we know that Gershom and Kohath and Merari, we don't have to go into that, but I just wanted to break that precept out with the rest of that understanding. Psalms 106:26. Therefore, he lifted up his hand against them to overthrow them in the wilderness. All right. And then that's precept I pulled on the wilderness was Psalms 106:14. And it says, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness and tempted Yahweh in the desert. Okay. So those are my precepts I wanted to pull on wilderness, because I wanted to make sure I gave you the edification of the wilderness in general. And now we're going to go to Ezekiel, and we're going to go to chapter 20. And I'm going to read from that to bring home the information that's necessary in reference to talk about, he's going to bring us to the wilderness. And as I said, the lesson for this evening, and the title is from Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 35. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Now, when Yahushua decides to plead with you face to face, he's not playing around, he's not messing around. And you are going to honor his word more than you honor anything else. And if you don't, when you get to the wilderness, he's got a lot to do with you. Now, let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start at the top. All right, and it reads, and it came to pass in the 7th year, and in the 5th month, and in the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahweh and sat before me. So now you take that into consideration. When the elders decide, and the apostles and the prophets go and they want to sit before the Lord to inquire of him, better make sure when you're acquiring of him that you come correct. What does that mean? It means you need to be praising, worshiping, and praying. This is what they're doing in heaven on those that are already sitting on thrones. I've said this over and over again. They've got crowns, they've got thrones, they've got lands, they've got chariots, they got everything already. They got spiritual bodies, they got power. We don't, and we don't praise, worship. We pray, but we don't praise and worship. We do semi-praise, semi-worship. Real praise and worship really brings it out. It brings out the passion that you think that you're going to need when it comes to the spiritual power that you're going to wield. And that's why you got to learn to do it. And that's why the Most High said, you're going to inquire of me? Well, let's find out what he's saying about that. Then came the word of Yahweh unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh, are ye come to inquire of me? Question. Okay. As I live, saith the Lord, Yahweh, power, I will not be inquired of by you. You can inquire of the Most High when he sets forth the pace of the prophecy and you don't want to praise and worship him, but you want to inquire of him? Yeah, right. Get ready for the freaking sword, okay? You think he's playing around. Okay, let's see what he has to say about that. Okay, all right. 4, will thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them? Question. Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. We got that going along with the abominations of the fathers of our people right now. Look at what he did to Puerto Rico. It's in the dark. Guess what's coming this way? I told you about isolation. I told you about what? Tribulation, isolation. I told you about this. What are they dealing with now? They're in tribulation and they're isolated. They don't have any power. They don't have any way to protect themselves. They're in the dark. Hello? What do you want me to tell you? Praise and worship. Where is it at? No. What are they doing? They're, Fatima and Mother Mary and all that old weird stuff that they're doing. Blasphemous and idolatrous. And they got to pay for it. Anywhere idolatry is going on, anywhere blasphemy is going on, the Most High is going to start taking names and kicking, dragging. Watch. I'm telling you, he's not playing. Look, if you going around and you saying Most High Christ blessed or Lord in Christ or whatever you saying, I'm telling you now, you're not in this truth. I don't care. You a faker. I don't believe you are, because if you know the sacred name and you playing around and you still saying that Jesus Christ crap, you don't even disclaim it anymore. I watch the lessons. I see how they get down. They just say it. If you're gonna say it, disclaim it. If you're gonna say, yeah, they ignorantly say Jesus Christ or the fake name of this or that, or don't be doing that. If you don't even do it, you don't do it. You just blatantly say it. Like you gotta cater to these devils and these demons that's coming up to you and giving. You ain't supposed to be even talking to them anyway. Just don't have anything to do with them. The part of the movie that they're playing in this is they're in the background. They're going to do their part because they're programmed to do it, and then they're out of here. Because I'm telling you, once it gets to the point in time when they really know that there's no possible way they get saved here or after it's over with or anything in between, Watch what the Most High turn them into at that point. You ain't seen no damn zombies yet until you see these that know that there is no salvation on any side at any given point in time, here or after. And then they get deleted and eliminated. Watch. You're going to see what I'm talking about. It's coming down to that point in time right now. Okay, let's get back to the precept. All right. All right. And this was what? Okay, yeah. 4. Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them? Question. Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. 5. And they say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. See, when he says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh in capitals, we're talking about the Father. Okay? All right? In the day when I chose Israel and lifted up my hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up my hand unto them, saying, I am Yahweh, your power. Okay? In the day that I lifted up my hand unto them to bring them forth of the land of Egypt into the land that I had espied for them. He already checked it out. Flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. That means everything that was there was in good condition, and we just needed to get the demons and the ites out of there. Okay? That's all he asked you to do. And what did you do? And then say I unto them, cast ye away every man the abominations of his eyes, and defile not yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your power. And what do? Even to date, we still keep these idols. We still use the bywords. We still use the names. We still run around talking about Most High, blessed in Christ, and all this stuff, and Lord in Christ. You're still doing it. You will not let this stuff go. And then you monetize in the Most High's word and the Mashiach, and then you're doing this. What you gonna do when the device is put in you and you can't monetize no more? Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? How you gonna get your money then? When it ain't called money no more, and it's just credit. You gonna get somebody in your organization to take the device. You're gonna have them get the device, have them go ahead and get injected with it. Is that what you're gonna do? How you gonna monetize your albums and slip and slide and do your raps then? How you gonna do all that? See, watch what's coming. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Shalaki. I'm getting heated on this. All right. And then Shalaki. And then said unto them, cast ye away every man his abominations in his eyes, and defile not yourselves with your idols in Egypt. I am Yahweh, your power. 8. But they rebelled against me. That's what Yahweh was saying, and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. Right here in spiritual Egypt, right now where we are. This is what the Most High is pouring it out, and you're going to get it, and you deserve it. You do. You know you do. Okay? 9. But I wrought for my name's sake. Stop. Listen. He wrought for his name's sake. He stopped for his name's sake. Meaning what? You have to honor and respect the sovereignty of the sacred name. What are you doing? That it should not be polluted before the heathen among whom ye were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them, in bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. I got to read this again because maybe you don't get it. All right, let's do it again. 9. But I wrought for my name's sake, comma, that it should not be polluted before the heathen. He said, see, don't even be saying the polluted abomination title to his name amongst the heathens who you shouldn't even be talking to them about this. Tell them their fate and keep it moving. Among whom they were, comma, in whom sight I made myself known unto them, in bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. 10. Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. So, see, the Most High telling you, he going to take you where he needs you to go. And you're going to go, and you can whine and complain, and you can jump up and down and cry and moan, but you're going, okay? It's just as simple as that, okay? 11, and I gave them my statutes, and I showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. Are you doing them, or are you just saying them? Which is it? Okay? 12, moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths, here we go, to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yahweh, that sanctify them. Sabbath's done now. It's going to be done in the new covenant. And none of this wickedness that's going on this side is going over to that side. No garage sale with Esau's stuff. Nope. Sorry. Ain't going to happen. So you might as well get mindset in that fashion. 13. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. 14. But I wrought for my name's sake, again, he keeps saying it. I'm telling you how important this is. My namesake, that it should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I brought them out. See, he's not, Most High ain't crazy. He's repeating himself for a reason. It ain't just because he maybe you didn't get it the first time or the second time. Maybe it will come the third time too, right? 15. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. That's 15. And you know it was right back up there in other verses, so we're going to bring it out again, right? Because they despised my judgments, they walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Anything you put in front of the Most High, before the Most High, is a damn idol. I don't care if it's your organization, if it's your family, if it's your kids, if it's anything. You put it before him, it's an idol. Point blank, period. Nevertheless, mine eyes spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness. He did not, still gave you blessing and grace, and you still being wicked. Oh man, I tell you, what is wrong with us? 18. But I said unto the children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols. Don't do what they did, and we doing it again anyway. 19. I am Yahweh, your power. Walk in my statutes and keep my judgments and do them. 20. And hallow my Sabbaths. See, sacred. And they shall be a sign between me and you, and ye may know that I am Yahweh, your power. 21. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me again. They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. See, he even gonna get you in the wilderness, man, if you ain't coming correct with the praise, worship, and prayer. See, if you do praise, worship, and prayer, right, then you will honor his Sabbaths. You will follow the statutes and the judgments. You will do the commandments, because you will praise, worship, and prayer your way right into it. But if you're not going to do it, right? 23. I lifted up mine hand unto them also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen and disperse them through the countries. So this is what he's done. In the book of James, chapter 1, he talks about us, the scattered, and the apostles go there, and would Yahushua go to the scattered? that are among all the rest of the countries. And that was because they feared that he would bring the truth, which is now coming out, and that's what's happening. 24, because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes and had polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols. 24. See, he keeps telling you this over and over again. If he continues to tell you, that means you're not doing it. Just like right now. And we see it happening right now. They keep saying Christ and most high blessed. I can't even say it. It's crazy, man. Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. And you see that right now with them being in the wicked churches and stuff. He's giving them statutes that were not good, and they're following those things. They're going to these wicked whorehouses on Sundays and on Wednesdays, and they're getting there praying to a fake white Jesus and doing the crazy stuff that Esau Edoms and all the rest of the wicked jakes be doing. You see, he said, and were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. So they got all that. And again, 26, and I polluted them in their own gifts, in that they caused to pass through the fire all the open that openeth the womb, that I might make them desolate, to the end that they might know that I am Yahweh. See, and is that true? Yes. Our young Jakes and Jakettes, man, are passing through the fire with their families in so many different ways, man. It's just unbelievable the amount of lives that are passing through so fast, that the Most High is pushing it in that direction because of their wickedness. I'm telling you. Therefore, 27, therefore, Son of Man, speak unto the house of Israel and say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, yet in this your fathers have blasphemed me, in that they have committed a trespass against me. He's telling you you're blaspheming him. Right on the point there. 28. For when I had brought them into the land for which I lifted up my hand to give it to them, then they saw every high hill and all the thick trees, and they offered their sacrifices, and there presented the provocation of their offering. There also they made their sweet savor and poured out their drink offerings. Right? It sounds like grove worshiping to me, but let's see where we're going. Then I said unto them, what is the high place whereunto ye go? Question. And the name thereof is called Bama, B-A-M-A, right? Another Baal worshiping area, right? Unto this day. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers? Question. And commit ye whoredoms after the abominations? Question. 31. For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire of Moloch, ye pollute yourselves with all the idols, even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? Question. As I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will not be inquired of by you. Okay? And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone. And he put you in that because your asses was being wicked, and you're still being wicked, so you're going back to it. And when you get in the wilderness, he's going to whoop your ass. So get ready for it. All right? And as I live, saith the Lord power, Yahweh, surely with the mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with the fury poured out will I rule over you. Now, he's going to do this first. You're going to go through the fire before you get delivered. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. So there will be some that will get out, but there's going to be a lot that's also going to get paid. That's going to have to pay for it. Okay. And I will bring you. Here's my title. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face. Right. 36. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith Yahweh power. and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Okay, here we go. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that trespass against me. All right, he's gonna purge out these rebels. All of y'all that just keep not using the sacred name properly and giving that sacred name the respect that it deserves throughout the entire process of worshiping and praising and praying to the Most High, you're gonna be purged out. He's gonna purge you out because you're arrogant, you're blasphemous, you don't show no humility, and he's gonna purge you out because that's what he said. I'm gonna read it again. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Okay? As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith Yahweh power, go ye serve ye every one his idols, and hereafter also, if ye will not hearken unto me, but pollute ye my holy name, no more with your gifts and with your idols. See, he's gonna set you right in your own, right in your blasphemy, right? For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain of the height of Israel, saith Yahweh power, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them, and there will I require your offerings and the first fruits of your oblations with your holy things. See, he's telling you, he's wanting your praise, worship, and prayer. That's what these things are. This is what he's talking about. Okay, if you're going to provide offerings and first fruits and oblations, okay, and he's going to accept them because he said you're going to serve him. That means you have to praise, worship, and pray to him. That's what it's all about. Okay, let's get to that point. All right, 41. I will accept you with your sweet savor when I bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein ye have been scattered, and I will be sanctified in you before the heathen. See, that's going to take that praise and worship. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh when I shall bring you unto the land of Israel, into the country for which I have lifted my hand to give it to your fathers. And there shall ye remember your ways and all your doings, wherein ye have been defiled, and ye shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for all your evils that ye have committed. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh when I have wrought with you for my name's sake. Again, he's going to continue to say namesake, not according to your wicked ways, not according to your corrupt doings, O ye house of Israel, saith Yahweh power. 45. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face towards the south, and drop thy word toward the south, and prophesy against the forest of the south field. You know, sometimes when I hear the south, I think of the southern kingdom, and then I think of the northern kingdom being the north, but it's just a metaphor in my mind that makes me believe that that's more to it than just when he says the south and the north. We could talk about the king of the south and the king of the north in terms of what happened with back during the Maccabees and Ptolemy and slander and that, but I'm not going to digress. Okay, it's lucky. All right, 47. And say to the forest of the south, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will kindle a fire in thee, and it shall devour every green tree in thee, and every dry tree. The flaming flame shall not be quenched, and all fences from the south to the north shall be burned therein. And all flesh shall see that I, Yahweh, have kindled it, and it shall not be quenched. 49. Then saith Lord, power, they say of me, doeth he not speak parables? Question. Now that, of course, takes me right into 21, which I'll give you a little bit of that before I end this, because I know it's getting long. But I've been away for a minute because I had a strike, so bear with it, okay? Ezekiel 21, and it starts at 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face towards Jerusalem, the people before the place, right? And drop thy word toward the holy places, and prophesy against the land of Israel, in which we have been doing, in which he's doing. He's prophesying against you wicked jakes, as well as the individuals that's supposed to be in the truth, and you not covering it correctly. Okay? All right? And say unto the land of Israel, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, and will draw forth my sword out of its sheath, and I will cut off from the righteous and the wicked. Always ask the question when you're dealing with people, do you know who the wicked are, and do you know who the righteous are? There's some people that fall on both sides, and they think they're in the truth. Okay? Facts. Believe it. 4, seeing then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked, therefore shall my sword go forth out of its sheath against the flesh from the south to the north, that all flesh may know that I, Yahweh, have drawn forth my sword out of its sheath, and shall not return any more. Sigh therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and with bitterness sigh before their eyes. 7, and it shall be when they say unto thee, wherefore sighest thou, that thou shalt answer, for the tidings because of it cometh, and every heart shall melt, and all hands shall be feeble, and every spirit shall faint, and all knees shall be weak as water. Behold, it cometh, and shall be brought to pass, saith Yahweh power. Kohalo Yahweh Vasim Yahushua. Shalaki Yahweh, for my sins as I cry. Kohalo Yahweh Vasim Yahushua. Thwada Yahweh, for your mercy all the time. Babakasha Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. Barakatha Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. Kohalo Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. Shalaki Yahweh, for my sins as I cry. Kohalo Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. Shalaki Yahweh, for my sins as I cry. Kohalo Yahweh, Bashim.